ファミリーコンピュータの楽しいカセット情報。シングルスダブルスの本格テニスをコンピュータと技比べ、5段階のランクが楽しめます。さらにゴルフ光線銃など面白カセットどんどん登場。
Everybody, Jim here in Akihabara once again. Seem to be coming here quite a lot these days. Out here in front of Super Potato. Last time I was here, I went inside and tried to start a Super Famicom collection for under 50 bucks, and we actually did pretty good there. For about $44, we actually got 7 really good games, so I'm going to try to do the exact same thing today, but with Famicom games instead. So we want a first-party Nintendo game, we want a platformer, we want to shoot 'em up, we want to beat 'em up, we want a puzzle game, and then after we have those 5 things, if there's any money left over, we're going to go ahead and buy a bonus game, maybe 2, we'll see how it goes. But let's get inside, start our brand new Famicom collection again for under $50.
あ、今ブロックからジャイロへソフトの切り替えが行われたようです。楽しみを独り占めするのは禁止されている。
ファミリーコンピュータロボット、ブロックとジャイロ。
Okay, so we get started with our first party game, and obviously there was a lot to choose from. All of the classics are here, including Super Mario Bros. 3, Dr. Mario, Legend of Zelda, Kirby, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, the list goes on, but I settled on a nice clean copy of Super Mario USA. For the handful of people who still might not be aware, Super Mario Bros. 2, as it was released in North America, is in fact a reskin of a Famicom Disk System game called Doki Doki Panic, and in an odd twist, the reskinned Super Mario 2 was then ported back over to the Famicom under the title Super Mario USA. It's the exact same game though, and one I hadn't played in quite a long time, so I was happy to pick it up again. And at 1,078 yen, it's not a terribly expensive way to start our new Famicom collection. Next, we're looking for a good shooter, and my first instinct was to head straight to the Konami section where they had an assortment of great games, including Parodius, as well as Twinbee and Twinbee 3, which are well worth picking up. But I'm a bigger fan of the Gradius series, and thankfully they had a few options, including Salamander, aka Life Force, and the Japan exclusive port of Gradius 2, which I highly recommend playing if you haven't already, but I decided to go with the most affordable choice, and that is the original Gradius. I think it's safe to say that the Gradius games are my favorite series of shooters. They're the ones I've played the most over the years, and some of the few games I've ever cleared without dying, those being this and the third game. The original Gradius is definitely very stripped down when compared to its arcade counterpart, or even the PC Engine port, which is outstanding, but it's still an extremely fun game with plenty of challenge and some decent graphics and sound for the time it was released, so I'm always happy to give it another playthrough, and at only 858 yen, it's a great and affordable addition to our new collection. Now we want to find a good beat-em-up, and pretty obviously I was initially drawn to the Technos Japan games, starting with the Double Dragon series, as all 3 games were available and the prices weren't bad either. I'm more of a Kunio-kun fan though, so I strongly considered Downtown Neketsu Monogatari, aka River City Ransom, an absolute classic, or possibly even Neketsu Koha Kunio-kun, aka Renegade, but ultimately I was drawn back to the Konami games, and I had a sudden hankering for Turtles, and while the arcade game is a classic, I decided to go with the Manhattan Project. This, to me, is the far superior 8-bit TMNT game. It's an insanely fun beat-em-up, with 2-player co-op, bigger movesets per character versus the previous game, Tons of boss characters that I especially appreciate, as I mostly only saw these characters in action figure form as a kid, and of course the graphics and sound are simply awesome, as you might expect from 8-bit Konami. They really could do no wrong at the time. So this is an amazing game, and at 1,518 yen, it is the most expensive game we're picking up today, but still not a bad price at all. A great addition to our new collection. Next up, we want a good platformer, and with this being the Famicom we're talking about, there are a lot to choose from. I first considered one of the 3 Ninja Ryukinden games, aka Ninja Gaiden, which are all amazing games. And fun fact, the 3rd game is quite a bit more forgiving if you pick up the Famicom version. I also considered the Adventure Island games, which aren't strictly platformers, but still great games nonetheless. And I then considered a Famicom exclusive in YY World 2, which is a great game that crosses over some of Konami's classic games and characters. Highly recommended, by the way, but I ended up going back to my first love, which is the Rockman series. And while you can't go wrong with any of these games, my personal favorite, and luckily the most affordable, is Rockman 5. This typically isn't people's first choice of games from this series, as the argument is usually whether 2 or 3 is the best, but after decades of playing these games, I find myself going back to 5 most often. The stage designs are great, with a few twists and turns here and there, like inverting gravity in obviously Gravity Man's stage, or low gravity in Starman's stage. The Robot Masters themselves are really well designed, and the weapons they give are pretty cool too. You have your slide and charge shot abilities still intact, and if you find all of the hidden letters scattered throughout the game, you can unlock Rockman's robotic bird companion Beat, which really comes in handy. Plus, you get not 1, but 2 assortments of castle stages, which is really cool. Also, the graphics and character designs are great, the soundtrack is awesome, and of course, it's just an all-around fun and challenging game, making it my favorite of the 8-bit offerings. And at only 858 yen, this is a very affordable and fun addition to our new Famicom collection. Finally, we want to pick up a decent puzzle game, and while there are the typical options like Tetris or Dr. Mario, I decided to go with a lesser-known game that I like a lot, and that's Binary Land. If you've never played this game, one thing I can say is that it has a very cute and charming design, and it's a lot of fun. You're given 2 little penguins trapped in a maze, and the goal is to navigate them from the bottom to the top and have them convene on either side of a heart in a cage. The challenge is that they both move at the same time in the opposite direction from one another, so getting them through the maze, while pretty easy at first, does eventually become kind of tricky. There are also enemies in each maze to contend with, and lots of hidden treasures and point bonuses. It's a very enjoyable puzzle game that's easy to get the hang of, and it features some simple but charming visuals and sound design, so while not as well known as some other 8-bit puzzle games, Binary Land is definitely worthy of your Famicom collection, and at only 528 yen, it's an absolute steal, the most affordable game we're picking up today, in fact. And that completes our shopping, but wait! Was there enough money left over for a bonus game? Well, let's find out.
게임 준비 다이소 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Okay, so here we are now in Tokyo Video Gamers, my home away from home. I got my beer, so it's, you know, my favorite time of the day. Cheers. And we have our nice new beginnings of a Famicom collection. So let's go over what we got today. First up, copy of Super Mario USA, classic fun game, 1,078 yen, not too bad. Another absolute classic, one of my favorites, Gradius, can't go wrong with that, 858, pretty cheap. Also for 858, we got a copy of Rockman 5, actually my favorite of the 8-bit Rockman games. For 528, dirt cheap, we got a game that I like a lot that not a lot of other people seem to be too familiar with. That's Binary Land. Great, fun little puzzle game. Love it. For $15.18, the most expensive game we picked up today, and still not too terribly expensive, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Manhattan Project. One of, if not my favorite beat 'em ups on the console. Amazing game, and we had enough money left over, we picked up a bonus game, and that is Ike Ike Neketsu Hockey-Boo, which, if you've never played this game, it's a really fun action hockey game from Technos Japan. It was actually intended to be released in the United States as Crash and the Boys Hockey Challenge, but unfortunately that was canceled, so now the only way to really play it is on the Famicom or maybe on one of those Kunio-kun collections. This is a fantastic game, very fun, and only cost us 638 yen, so that's very cheap. So all those games together, the grand total was 5,480 yen, which comes out to, I think, a little over $47. So we were able to come in under 50 bucks. We got a half a dozen great games to play, and I would say this is a very good start to a Famicom collection. So there you go. We got a nice little Famicom collection started, and it didn't cost us too much. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and definitely let me know if you're gonna get a Famicom collection started. Are you gonna start with any of these games? Because I'd highly recommend it. Great games, not too expensive, even if you pick them up at a place like Super Potato. So anyway, again, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.